Cline relies on something called context, which is a collection of information that he gathers while working with you. Context can include files that Cline discovered in your workspace during agentic exploration, files that you directly shared with Cline, or ongoing conversation history with Cline, and project requirements and past decisions. All of this is stored inside the context, which essentially serves as Cline's short-term memory to help complete a task. Now, Cline gives you the flexibility to choose from any LLMs that Cline supports, and depending on what model you choose, it'll have varying limits in how much each LLM can hold in memory as context, and this limit is called the context window. Here are some popular LLMs used in Cline in their corresponding context window. DeepSeek R1 has 163,000, Grok 4 has 256,000, Cloud Opus 4 has 200,000, Gemini 2.5 Pro has 1 million, and GPT-5 has 400,000. So as you can see, Cline's short-term memory can vary significantly depending on what model you choose. The context window is measured in tokens, and tokens are often misunderstood as a word, but it's actually a unit of a text. And LLMs use tokens instead of words because it drastically reduces the amount of numerical space that's required to represent all possible combination of words. And since token is a subword rather than a word, coding documents typically take up more tokens than plain text. For example, the following code that says x equals 5, y equals 3, print x plus y counts as 15 tokens by OpenAI's tokenizer. This is because source codes typically have higher symbol density, formatting overhead, and shorter words used for variable names. In comparison, a much longer sentence in plain text that says meet Cline, an AI assistant that can use your command line interface and editor, is also counted as 15 tokens. To put things into perspective, Cloud Opus 4, which has 200,000 context window, can hold up to 80 files of React code that's around 300 lines each. In practice, this number could be closer to 50 files since the context window also contains your conversation history and Cline's system prompt. Staying true to Cline's open source philosophy, Cline also gives full transparency in your context usage in real time. When you go to Cline's task window, a horizontal bar shows your total context window along with how much context window is currently held in memory. The up arrow represents the tokens that you sent to the LLM, and the down arrow, how much token the LLM generated for the task. Cline's open architecture gives you full transparency into how your usage is being shared by you. Now that we covered what a context window is, you might be thinking, shouldn't I always pick the model that has the highest context window? Your first instinct might be to reach the top shelf and go for models like Gemini 2.5 and Claude Sonnet 4, which have 1 million context window. While a large context window can certainly give you room to not worry about running out of space, it could certainly come with trade-offs, namely latency, cost, and diminishing returns when the context gets too long. If the context is filled with bloated or unnecessary context, it can lead to slower responses since the LLM needs to process the entire context window to make the inference. This can also lead to costing more per request as your input token will be cluttered. Another drawback is that the ability for the model to focus on the right detail can diminish in performance if the context window is too large. Since transformer-based models rely on what's called self-attention mechanism, having too much attention can often lead to diminishing return on Cline's ability to help you get the job done. While there are context engineering techniques that can circumvent limitations like this, understanding how Cline manages context and how you can maximize them as you use Cline can help you steer Cline more effectively.